Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I thought we'd talk about another interesting topic and try and answer a question that's probably as old as time, and that's do nice guys always finish last? You know, are you, if you're a nice, genuine person, destined to fail when it comes to having a long-lasting, happy relationship? So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about, because I think there's a lot of guys out there that sort of are decent people, but they feel like, well, if they make it obvious to a girl that they are a decent, nice person, that they won't be able to keep them, or a girl won't be interested in them. And so I think guys are intentionally being dickheads because that seems to work best in the relationship world. So I thought we'd try and answer it and sort of sit there and say, you know, is it a matter of, yeah, if you're a nice guy, you've got no hope, or is it a matter of actually it's a complete misconception, and actually if you're a nice, genuine person, you will have a much happier, stronger relationship, right? So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about and sort of see if we can answer. I don't feel like it's going to be a simple yes or no answer. I think that's probably going to be somewhere in between, but I thought we'd talk about it. So I think I'll start by saying off is to where this idea comes from, that if you're a nice guy, you finish last, right? And for me, the way I see it, right, as to why it's not in your best interest to make it obvious to a girl that you are nice, because it sounds crazy, like surely girls want nice guys, so why would you not want it to be obvious that you are a nice guy? Sure, you know, you'd think sort of on paper, like, the more you can make it obvious to a girl that you're nice, surely that can only be a positive thing. But we live in weird times, don't we? So it's not quite that simple. So I think where it comes from, right, and as to why it's not a good idea, is when you are a nice guy, right, and you make it obvious, quite often what that then leads to is you become way too open and available to a person, right? And when you're sort of at the start of a relationship, or you've just started seeing them, or you're still in the talking stage, or wherever it may be, right? But when you are too open and you're too available, what happens is you very quickly diminish any sort of intrigue that this person may have towards you, right? You kill any sort of mystery, right? Because if you're very open and you're very, this is me, this is who I am, this is how much I love you, this is how much I care about you, and you're there telling her every single thoughts and opinions and feelings that you have and all of this, you know, let's say it's towards a girl that you like, right? That girl is very quickly going to be losing any sort of, oh, who's he? Well, you know, what's his deal? Because you've already told her it all. Do you know what I mean? Before you've even met the girl, she already knows everything about you. And that often is what happens when you are a nice guy towards a girl. So I think that's why we say it's not in your best interest. Because one thing about relationships, I think it's especially, you know, girls feel like this towards guys, and that's it's attractive to them when the guy has a sort of a mystery around him, you know, like they can't quite figure him out. Because what happens is it makes the girl want to figure you out, right? And so you want to draw that out for as long as possible. If you're already telling her all before she's even told her name, you know, or before you've even met her, you are straight away setting yourself up to some sort of failure. You're at least, you know, fighting with your hands behind your back, because you are getting rid of one of the best things that's going to make you attractive towards a person. You know, it's the equivalent to going on a date and, you know, I don't know, not doing your hair, or, you know, not shaving. You know what I mean? Like, you're setting yourself up for a difficult situation before anything's even developed. And it's the reason why I say that is because it's one of those things where it's attractive to a girl when they don't know, and there's a level of intrigue there, but you've not done anything towards it. It's a handy tool to have, because it's not like you've had to get a six-pack and that's attractive, or it's not like you've had to be 6'2" and handsome, and that's attractive. It's something you've not done anything per se, but there's a level of attraction there because she can't figure you out. And if you go in all guns blazing, telling her every single fact about you, straight away you kill that level of intrigue, and that level of attractiveness has gone down a notch, right? So this is why I think we say nice guys finish last. The difficult part of it all is, if you're someone, I'd like to think I'm quite like this. We're not naturally dickheads, we're nice, just sort of in general. So it's sort of like, it's quite a weird sort of feeling to sort of be intentionally being off with a person, or sort of being cold with them. So it's quite a hard thing to balance, because I don't think that you should ever, if you like it, I don't think you should ever be intentionally rude to them, and I think this is where people struggle to find the balance. Like, well, okay, so where's the line then? How do I not make it too open that I'm this nice, genuine guy, where I can still keep her intrigue, but also to the point where I'm not just a complete bad person towards them, and especially when that isn't you. And you don't want you one thing I'd always say, you've got to be genuine, right? Because there's some guys out there that they sleep around, don't care too much about feelings and emotions. They just they see it for what it is, quick one-time things, and that's fine, right? That's, if they want to do that, that's up to them. But then if you're not like that, and you are a softer person, and I think especially in guys, we tend to try and make it seem like we aren't soft when we are. If you aren't like that, and you are a soft, genuine person that probably doesn't have as many relationships, but when you do, you fall harder for them than most people, I would never sit there and suggest intentionally being rude or horrible to a girl you like in a way to try and play it cool, because at the end of the day, even if that works, she's eventually going to meet you and she'll see that you're not this cool, disinterested guy, because you won't be able to hide it in person, right? So I would never recommend being someone that you're not to a girl, especially that you like. You've got to be genuine there. I think I'm, no expert whatsoever. I'm just giving my opinion. But I would say I think the best way to play it is keeping it quality over quantity, right? So when you're talking to a girl, I think just messaging sort of every, few hours or every day, like, hi, how are you? Did you sleep well? And sort of just what I would call dry, long, sort of meaningless text, right? Even though you might just, because I've been there, and it's just that you want any excuse to talk to them, so you just, and you'll just text them whatever you can to have a conversation with them. I think this is the part where you've got to, not, like I said, it's not being genuine, but it's playing it a bit cooler, where you're sort of like, you're not making it so obvious that, because you don't want to appear to a girl that you are so available, because what happens is, right, not only are you killing the intrigue, but also if you're really, really, really nice to a girl that you've barely known, consciously or unconsciously, she will be sat there thinking, hang on, he's never even met me, so he can't be that in love with me. Why is he being so intense like this? And so then straight away she'll either think he either doesn't talk to many girls, so he's just so grateful for the attention that she's giving him, which is unattractive, because girls don't like guys that, you know, have had no experience. It's just not an attractive trait to them, right? Or you'll come across as disingenuous, because she'll be thinking, he's never even met me, so why is he so, you know, how can he say how much he loves me and cares about me when he doesn't even know he's not even met my parents, or he's not, you know, he doesn't even know what my middle name is, type thing. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it's unattractive to a girl if she thinks that you've had no experience and you've never, you know, you act like you've never even spoken to a girl in your life. And if you're there sending loads of texts, really intense, all over them, before you've even met them or before you really know them, she will be sat there thinking, does he just never talk to girls? Is this what it is? And even that might be the case, but we've got to try and make it seem like, nah, it's whatever. Yeah, we talk to girls all the time. And so that's where I would say, you know, you want to try and play it cool. And so if you're there all over text, and she sat there going, does he just never, is he just so grateful for my attention that he's just, you know, love bombing me with all this affection? That will, regardless of, you know, your intentions behind it, that will turn her off. That will make her not necessarily unattractive to you, but it's an unattractive trait, right? So it's not that nice guys finish last in a sense that you will never meet someone if you're a nice guy, right? But what it is if you are a nice person, which I'm sure many of you are, it's trying to keep that genuineness there, and that, you know, look, I'm a nice, decent person, I'll take care of you, I'll, you know, take you here, there, you know, we'll do this and that. And, you know, you want to keep that, but also keeping the girl intrigued and, you know, who is this guy? What's his deal? So, like I predicted, it's not really a yes or no, like, yes, if you're a nice guy, you're screwed. I would just say, don't make yourself too available. Don't make yourself too intense and to a point where they then become unattractive, which they will. And also, just on a final point, you want to keep a lot of it for when you meet in person, right? If you're texting someone, texting should just be a means to organise meetups, right? Because you can't really, there's times where you're talking to someone, you know, and they've just, your personalities fit really well and you have a laugh and you can text for ages, right? But most of the time, especially if, you know, if you match with a girl on Tinder, or if you just see a post on social media and you like it and you decide you want to message it, right? Most of the time that isn't the case, right? You'll just, you know, you'll message, you know, one-liners and all that. It's very hard to have a really interesting, in-depth conversation over text like that. And also, you don't want to ruin, you don't want it to be that you know, you meet the girl and you already know, you know everything about her. You want that to be in person, because that's when you develop foundations to, you know, and deep connections, when you're actually in person learning all these life details about, you know, the person that you're seeing. You don't want that to be over an iPhone screen, finding out about, you know, how she, you know, what she does for work, or her life interests, her passion. You don't want to read that on a screen. You want to be looking at her, you know, sat next to her, learning about that, because that's when you can really get a feel for a person as well. So I would always recommend keeping your texts, like I said, quality, little quantity. You want them, you know, not too often, not too consistent. And yeah, just using it as a means to organise seeing the person. And that is when you will genuinely get an idea about them. And that is where also you can make it a bit more obvious that you're a nice guy. because she'll meet you. If she likes you, you know, if she's attracted to you and she gets a good feeling from you when you actually meet up, because she can't get any feeling from you over text. You just can't. And trust me, girls are good at getting feelings about someone. They can tell if someone seems off or if someone seems genuine. But like I said, over text, it's not easy to do that. And so you want to keep the text minimalistic, you know, use it as a way to meet up, and then once you've met up, that is where you can then make it a bit more clear that, look, I'm a nice, genuine guy here. And if that's what you're looking for, a relationship is, you know, a long-term, you know, partner, then obviously being a nice person is important, and they will want someone that is nice. Like I said, it's just not, I wouldn't recommend giving it so blatantly away over text at the beginning before you've even met the person. But yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation to have, and I don't know if we've really answered it. I don't think it's a simple thing to answer. I think that there's probably different alleyways that you could go down and different ways you could look at it. But that's just my opinion on it. It'd be interesting to know what you guys think, and yeah, look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.